Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tara Clare. I am an intern at the Mental Health Foundation Australia, and I will be your host for today's webinar. We begin by acknowledging the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung as the traditional custodians of the land on which our office stands and pay our respects to their elders past and present. We extend that respect to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples tuning in today. On behalf of the Mental Health Foundation Australia, I would like to welcome and thank each one of you for attending today's Lunch and Learn webinar on the importance of mental health first aid, which is developed in partnership with Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute. Before we begin, a disclaimer that this webinar is intended for educational purposes only and should not be relied on as personal advice. Always seek the guidance of your doctor, psychologist, or other qualified health professionals regarding your physical and/or mental health. I would now like to introduce our presenter, Counsellor Michelle Kleinert OAM. Michelle is an accomplished trainer, facilitator, and public speaker with a wealth of experience across a broad and eclectic range of industries. Backed by an Australian Institute of Company Directors, Training and Assessment, and a Diploma of Management, Michelle is a naturally engaging professional whose empathetic and assured approach delivers positive interventions and change. A fixture of local government, Michelle has served variously as councillor, deputy mayor, and mayor of Manningham Council for over 10 years, where she remains a passionate advocate for many community issues with a specific interest in matters affecting mental health. As a mental health multicultural ambassador for Mental Health Foundation Australia, Michelle unequivocally believes mental health first aid is key to equipping others with skills to support individuals to better mental health and wellness. I would now like to welcome Michelle for her presentation.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Tara, for that introduction. So I also would like to acknowledge and recognise the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the custodians of the land in which we live, work, and pay respects to traditional owners, elders, and emerging leaders, and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples that might be joining us today. Also, it's not working, there we go. Excuse me. I'll acknowledge also those with a lived experience, and statistics will show that there is amongst us those with lived experience. So acknowledging you today. Little bit of an overview about me, what mental health is, common types of mental illness, the impact, our obligation, the difference we can make, and also mental health first aid. So a little bit about me is I have a strong desire and passion for mental health in supporting and strengthening communities. As a result, I've raised a lot of money over the years and am an ambassador and attaché for the Mental Health Foundation Australia, which I'm really proud to be. So with that, I felt a few years ago I should perhaps do a little bit more. And there was a mental health first aid course. I thought I'm going to do that. I had no idea what it was going to teach me, but I was eager to learn a little bit more and feel empowered. Well, I was actually blown away. I felt really empowered. I felt strengthened. And I walked away thinking, I don't understand why this isn't compulsory everywhere, not only in Australia, but anywhere in the world, because it's such an issue. And the course was so empowering. So hence, I was sharing that. I have a background of teaching and facilitating, and someone said, would you deliver this for us? And of course, I needed to be accredited, and I really felt strongly and passionately about that. So hence, that's what I did, and that's why I'm here today, sharing the story and delivering mental health first aid and having lots of conversations with regards to that. I'm having trouble with my screen moving. That's very interesting. I don't know why it's freezing. I'm sorry, Tara. I don't know if you can help me with that. My screen is, sorry, keeps just freezing. So what is mental health? Mental health, according to the World Health Organization, a state of well-being in which individual realizes his or own abilities in coping with normal stresses of life. That can be productively, fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. So that's what the World Health Organization talks about. It's talking about our emotional, psychological, social well-being. It affects how we think, how we act, how we feel. It does help determine how we handle stresses in life. And when we look at that, we have a continuum every day. Our emotions are changing throughout the day consistently, don't they? Think about it. Do you ever wake up and you feel flat? I mean, I do. Sometimes I wake up and I feel great, don't you? We all do. But there's those normal things in life that the 7 deadly fears, the fear of being alone, fear of connecting, fear of feeling abandoned, feeling of self-assertion, lack of motivation, failure, success, and a fear of being fully alive. These are fears that we often have. Where we fall into this red zone is when these fears grab us. They hold us down into this place where we start to feel down, we start to feel alone, we start to feel misunderstood, and everyday life becomes a little bit hard. Now, as an example, statistics show 75% of the population would rather die than public speak. So you could be asked to public speak and there'd be lots of stresses and fear in that, and you'd sit in that red zone, panic and all of those things. But, you might get to public speak, and then next thing you're feeling good and really great, and you're able to get past it. Mental illness is when you sit in this red zone and can't get out. You feel that you're in a hole and it's dark and you're feeling alone. It's that natural part of either fight or flight. And, sitting in the red zone, this is why we want to be having mental health first aid conversations to get people feeling healthy and about their well-being. The fact is, 1 in 5 Australian adults experience a common mental illness in any 1 year. And those statistics are right across the world. In some areas where population density is greater, people can feel less connected. So, and these statistics are actually before COVID, and we know the world at large has gone through so much. That basically means that every day millions of Australian workers, as an example, are going to work experiencing a mental health problem and not talking to someone about it. Why? The most common of mental illness is anxiety, is depression and substance use disorders. And often substance use coexists with both anxiety and depression. This sense of not feeling that you can cope with everyday life, and it starts to impede and become a problem. There's a lot of shame associated with it. Who do I talk to? Stigmas, costs. In some areas, people can't access services, and that's really very difficult for some. And that's why 1 in 2 people with a common mental illness don't receive professional help, because it might be cost, it might be stigmas, it might be cultural. In some cultures, even explaining what's going on can cause people to, excuse me, it's live here with the Zoom, and a nice little pet. Apologies. There's lots of things that can attribute to someone who just won't seek help. But what are some of the signs? If you know someone in your community or at work, what are the signs that someone is struggling with that everyday existence, not being the best version of themselves? Now, these are some of the things that we can see over time. Now, you're going to read some of these and say, oh, yeah, I have that sometimes. Sometimes I feel a bit flat and I want to withdraw from others. That's normal. What we're talking about today is about a pattern of a couple of behaviours, a couple of physical things that are happening in our continuum that are sitting there over a period of days, and multiple things. So it might be not getting things done, erratic behavior, withdrawing from others, reduced participation at work, indecisive, can't make decisions, a difficulty with memory. You just can't retain things because, it's all too much. That leads to lack of confidence. You lose that confidence. You have conflict with members and managers and family and community. And that's usually because you're wanting to keep people at a distance because you don't want to let them in to tell them what's really going on. Excessive worry and fear, increased errors and accidents, because on the physical side, if you're tired all the time, if you're run down sick, got headaches, if you're not sleeping well, you're going to make errors, aren't you? You're potentially going to have accidents. There's change of sleep patterns, weight loss, weight gain, disheveled appearance, not feeling bothered to look after yourself, moving more slowly and appearing agitated because, you get these aches and these pains or headaches, the inability to concentrate, tightness in the tummy. So when we notice these things, a few things over a period of time, that's when that person's life of continuum there in the green and the red is starting to sit in the red. They're not having control to do all the things that they feel that they could because they're feeling overshadowed by things that are coming on top of them. So what does that do in the workplace? So mental illness tends to occur during the prime working years. 1 in 5 take sick leave due to normal mental health problems. They don't tell their workplace, their community, I'm feeling anxious and I've got so much worry. I'm not feeling my best, but they'll say, I've got a cold, I've got a flu, I've got COVID, to mask that. So we don't often, hear about the truth. What does that do for your other workers? The workload, your co-workers and supervisors, someone's picking up that, when you're away or when you're not at 100%, but you're not even at 80%, you're sitting at 50% or even less. It impacts other people because work still needs to be done. If you're part of a community projects still need to be done. Longer sick leave is less likely to return to work. So when someone takes that extended time, it's really hard for them to get back. It makes it really hard. It makes it difficult for people to hold down their jobs. And so unemployment becomes an issue. Early retirement. So there's an obligation for workplace and for individuals. So these are, laws that are for Australian. That's the Occupational Health and Safety Act of 2004. It's an OHS Act. Many states and territories and countries. I know that there's many of you from all around the world that are logging in and listening to this. So wherever you are, there is in many cases some laws, obligations to be met. And in Victoria in particular, and Australia, it's to employers and workers. You've got a responsibility to maintain a safe and healthy workplace. You've got a responsibility to maintain privacy. If someone shares with you what they're going through, there's a privacy there. To not discriminate, to not allow someone to go for a job promotion based on the fact that they're dealing with their mental health. And of course, there's a responsibility to take reasonable care for the health and safety of self and others. Because if you don't look after yourself and look after your health and well-being, how can you look after others? And that's why we always talk about how do we take a break? How do we self-care? How do we look after ourselves and fill up our cup? It's so different for so many people, but doing the same old every day is no good. When someone's feeling down and out and you're wanting to have a conversation about their mental health well-being, you want to be able to say what you do, because every day we fluctuate, we have stresses. What do we do to alleviate that stress? Because you've only got one life, you've only got one chance. So you want to be the best version of yourself. You want to have the best life that you can with the basket of eggs that you've been dealt with. And it's not saying that it's always going to be easy, but the challenge is for each and every one of us, how do we look after ourselves first? And when we can honestly look after ourselves, and it doesn't have to cost money, doesn't have to take hours every day, but it's about finding that balance, that work-life balance. It's a really empowering to be able to share that with what works for you when you share that with somebody else. So I always love talking about that. And as you can see, the 50 ways, there's some really good ones there that are really simple. So we are talking about mental health first aid, and the course is really great that it talks about an action plan, and it's about approaching a person, assessing where they're at. Is this just a little phase that they're going through and they just need a bit of a break, or is it something more? And then obviously assessing and assisting with any crisis. If it's really in a bad way, you want to be really helping them, get them to the professional that they need. Listening and communicating non-judgmentally, we talk through that in greater detail. And the key for you today, very simply, if you don't do any more other than just listen to this webinar today, listening. You can sit with someone and have them talk to you, but are you listening? Listen to them. And sometimes silence is very loud. And I always say, when you talk to someone about their well-being, how they've been going in, checking in with them, because you've noticed some differences, listening is quite a powerful thing. Communicating non-judgmentally with our face, with our body language, with our tone, giving support and information. And we talk about that. There's so much support and so much information, and it doesn't matter how smart and educated you think that person is. It doesn't matter if they're a person in leadership. Everyone needs some sort of support and information that they may have not already seen. Ultimately, our goal is to get that person that we've noticed that is struggling, to get them to seek professional help. It's the professional that will work a plan for their well-being and for their journey forward. Encouraging other supports, that's family, friends, community groups, support groups, strategies. They're the other supports. So the course that we talk about, which is the Mental Health First Aid course, goes through this in greater detail with some great practical role plays, which I absolutely love. But right now you're thinking about that person that you probably thought, yeah, something's going on and I haven't really thought about it this way. I probably do need to check in with them. We just had yesterday Are You OK Day nationally, which was great conversation happening about Are You OK? But what if someone turns around and says, yeah, I'm okay, but you know that they're not? That's okay. Ask them why, a specific reason why you've noticed what you've noticed and why they say that they're okay and that there's nothing wrong and they don't want to talk to someone about it. There's often a reason, and it's good to know. Offer reliable information that can help them seek, because help seeking is always a good idea. Also, if you're speaking to someone that's got a strong faith, all faiths have really great foundations of finding support and finding peace and finding that unity of self. So sometimes it's offering that avenue, but reliable information on what's available is always good. Continue to encourage them in your conversations to seek professional help, especially if you notice that it's not getting any better. Don't lecture, don't nag, don't use guilt to change their minds. Remember, we want to listen and communicate non-judgmentally. Let them know that you are prepared to talk when they're ready. And sometimes it does take a while, but trust me, just having a chat to someone and saying what you've noticed goes a long way. But if the symptoms do become severe, you might need to seek assistance against their wishes. If they're at harm to themselves, then you really do need to get someone there straight away. The Mental Health First Aid course is recognised globally. Its worldwide reach since its inception in the year 2000 has evolved a global movement, not only across Australia, but also in 25 countries across the globe. To date, over 4 million people worldwide have been trained, including over 1 million Australians. So we've got 24 million to go, because I am a huge believer that absolutely everybody should do this. I wish it was mandatory in late teens, into a subject that was done. It would be so empowering, even taking away the stigma. The stigma is a huge issue in many cultures. So what do we teach? We give knowledge, we provide confidence, we destigmatize, and we encourage support. This is a great course that will give you that increased mental health literacy. It'll increase your confidence in providing mental health first aid. To me, it's the powers there. The more conversations we have with people, the better we'll be able to destigmatize. In talking to someone about mental health and their struggles and encouraging them with hope, with support, that they're not alone, that though you might not understand their situation, but they're no longer alone, and you really want them to be the best version of themselves. We teach all that in the mental health first aid course. And, if we help one person, we've helped hundreds. Support is the most important thing. When someone feels supported, we see benefit. So it does lead, mental health first aid does lead to improved confidence, to support your co-workers, to support your family, your friends, your community. I deliver the mental health first aid in the workplace, but it translates because, remember, your workplace is your family. You spend most of your day, in the morning you get up, you're rushing to work, you're bright, you work a whole day at work. By that time, the best part of you has been used, that you get home ready to do all sorts of things, have dinner, go to bed, get up to the next day. So building that confidence to have those supports, not forgetting that your work family, that's another family. You've got your family, you've got your community. Mental health literacy, so important. Workplace culture, productivity, absolutely, it's a no-brainer. When we feel supported, when we feel part of a community, and destigmatize this feeling, because you consider someone who's got a broken arm, people look, they see, they understand, I can do this, I can't do that. I'm a left-handed. If I was had a broken arm, I would need help. But it's really hard. Someone struggling with anxiety, depression, they need help too. It's not as easy to see, is it? But that's why we've got to sometimes ask the question, how can I help you? What can I do to support you? And we teach that confidence to get you confident to have those conversations. So the Mental Health Foundation, if you want more information, there it is all there. There's a phone number there. The website's there. I love delivering the mental health first aid courses. We do it online, fully online. We also do it face-to-face. So there's a variety of ways. We've still got time. I'm going to stop sharing now, and perhaps you've got some questions I'd love to answer.